Welcome to RevMD Sex Bites podcast with me, your host, Dr. Deborah Durst, and my co-host, Faraday Golombiewski.
Hey guys, Faraday Golombiewski, nurse practitioner here at Revitalize MD, and we have a fun podcast today.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about masturbation.
It's all about the self-love.
Self-love and all the benefits of the self-love. And so anyhow, we'll start with masturbation. You know, again, it's such a taboo subject, right? So everybody feels, ashamed or guilty about it, and they don't want to talk about it.
Or embarrassed to talk about it.
And that's not the case. It is self-love. And so again, making that masturbation topic a non-taboo topic that you can talk about. And
So what is masturbation? We'll just kind of break it down real simple, right? So it is self-love. It is taking care of yourself. It is self-pleasure. So that can be by touching, rubbing, the vagina, the penis, the anus, the breast, any area that's going to bring you pleasure, essentially. It is done by yourself. It can be done with or to another partner. But usually when we're talking about masturbation, we're talking about solo time.
Yeah, solo time. Although, I think, again, masturbating in a partnership or with your partner is probably pretty common too. Yep. So not always solo, but solo pleasure and self-love during that. So
exactly.
And in fact, we have some physician-directed masturbation tricks as part of our sexual wellness package where, maybe if it's physician or it's provider-directed, then again, that is maybe something you can talk about your partner or to your partner about the fact that it's recommended as part of the treatment.
Absolutely. Yeah. It increases blood flow. Blood flow is good for everything.
Yeah, for everything, for regeneration, all of the things. But so what are some of the benefits of masturbation? And, what kind of forms do you use? So is it just, you're using, fingers or are you bringing toys into it? Visual aids, something that's stimulating to you.
Whether that's something you read, something like a story, something erotica, pornography, whatever it may be, pictures, or imagination. Right?
Imagination, yeah. Yeah, you have nothing else. And again, you're, physically excited for whatever reason. What are the benefits of just going ahead and masturbating, and pleasuring yourself? So lots of benefits. Number one, you do get increased blood flow to the area, which is awesome because that's going to basically, increase your stimulation at the time. It's going to also decrease stress. So you're going to have some stress reduction just by masturbating because, again, tension is relieved. If you're under tension for something, what's one of the best ways to reduce that is sex. And if your partner's not there, again, masturbation would be a good source.
Especially with that orgasm. So it can also help with boosting libido. So there was when I was prepping for the podcast, I was reading by this doctor, this physician, Nan Wise. She's a cognitive neuroscientist and certified sex therapist. And she talked a lot about how every time that we are masturbating and we're having an orgasm, that those neurons are firing and that she's like firing and wiring, right? So when those neurons fire together and then we wire together. So it helps with that libido, getting ready for the sex, knowing that, okay, by this self-touch, it's going to lead to something pleasurable. So that positive reinforcement, and it can help with increasing libido, that kind of getting ready ritual leads into it. So it's pretty cool that we can help boost our libido naturally.
And so even with self-exploration comes the ability, not only do you have an increased sex drive to want to have sex and sexual relationships with your partner, but also self-discovery. So if you're finding out what's turning you on, then that's going to help your partner, and it's going to help you communicate with your partner about how to turn you on and stimulate you and get you aroused.
What you like, what you don't like. I think that's really important in a relationship, is to be able to have that open communication. And if you don't know what you don't like, how do you communicate that? So definitely it helps us with our self-esteem, our self-confidence. It leads to better sex ultimately because like you said, we know what we want. We know what we like. We know what we don't like.
Yeah.
And then we're able to say, oh, no,
Yes.
Let's try this, or let's do this, or direct sex. So it can lead to better sex all around because you can direct to the way that you like things and what makes you feel good.
Well, and doing that, again, when it comes down to doing that with your partner, then it actually is input in real time. So basically, if you're masturbating in front of your partner, which I think is very common, and I think, again, it comes down to that taboo, like, not acting like you don't masturbate or not discussing it with your partner doesn't know you're doing it, and at home. And again, I think the more open we are in a relationship, the better sex we're going to have. So if they can actually kind of be involved, it's going to be stimulating for them as well.
If you are in a sexually active relationship, let's go ahead and assume you both are having some type of masturbation, whether it is alone or together. But if you're masturbating, your partner's probably masturbating too. So it doesn't need to be this scary hidden thing because everyone's doing it.
Yeah. So just
whether we're talking about it or not, it's happening.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good rule to follow is like just assume it's happening and open up those conversations, and then from having those conversations, then you can start exploring together. And so that you're actually physically doing, not just having the conversations. And so then you can let your partner know what you like and what you don't like. And then they're stimulated because they're watching you. And then that leads to, that again is that foreplay and increasing arousal for both prior to sex. And It makes sexual relations, it makes the act of sex much better.
Absolutely.
So you're more stimulated. What are some other benefits? Sleep is one of them.
Yeah.
So if you can't have sex and you're alone, a orgasm and masturbation is definitely a way to put yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Better overall physical and mental well-being, right? So when we have an orgasm, we have neurotransmitters that are released.
Endorphins
that are released. So those are our dopamine, our oxytocin, things that make us happy and feel happy.
Yeah.
Just like when we work out, right? Those same endorphins are released when we work out. That makes you feel good. Those same kind of things that bring you joy. So orgasms definitely do the same.
Brings you joy, better mood, but also better focus. So if you're stressed, again, one of the better ways to get focus back is to have orgasmic release. And so now, that dopamine's released and it lets you focus. So again, it is a way to reduce stress and focus on something. So what other... Oh, yeah, we're doing an NAD drip right now.
NAD drip, and mine is now done. So we're going to make sure that's closed off.
And definitely the NAD drips, we can't go too fast. So she's been doing it for a little while. Yeah. And she's tolerated it quite well.
Yeah. So we do, kind of side note, 250, 500 milligrams is one of the bigger ones, a higher dose one. Yeah. But sometimes you can have a little nausea, some tightness in your chest, but nothing that you can't control by adjusting your drip flow. But it was great. Trying to get a little boost today.
I love it, yes. So you can do pelvic floor exercises when you're doing the masturbation too. And so there's actually some information about like even that pelvic rock during masturbation being a very good way to not only help pelvic floor muscles, but orgasmic strength as well with those contractions, and actually help you get an orgasm with masturbation. So there's a lot of information on that. And Kegel exercises and all of that.
So when you have an orgasm, you are contracting that pelvic floor. So it can help with urinary incontinence. It can help guys with erectile dysfunction. It can help, again, with, like you said, tightening those muscles, stronger orgasms. Yeah. So that is awesome as well.
Yeah, because the orgasm is really muscular contraction. And so it's a contraction and it just is stronger if you have better pelvic muscles. And so that kind of rocking back and forth is definitely a technique that's used if you look into masturbation and getting an orgasm during it, especially for women. But actually, I think for men too. There's a lot of data on that.
There was an article that talked about decreased vaginal infections with increase in orgasms. So through whether that's masturbation or intercourse, this was specifically about masturbation and how when the cervix has tenting, when you're having an orgasm, that it can help decrease those infections and decrease UTIs, which I thought was really interesting because that's not something that we see ever really related or think. I never thought, the more orgasms we have, the less vaginal infections. So it was a new correlation I wasn't expecting to find when doing some research for this podcast is that it can
even
decrease.
And the prostate cancer too.
Yep,
right?
that was the other one.
A decrease in prostate cancer with the more ejaculations that happen per month. So I think it was at least 21 times per month had a third
33%.
Third reduction in prostate cancer. So pelvic infections, vaginal infections are better, and so is your risk of cancer. So another good reason to have doctor directed masturbation. So
and then no risk of STDs, right? As long as we're not involving other people's bodily fluids. I mean, if we're doing it mutual masturbation, as long as fluids are not intermingling, then we don't have a risk of any STDs. And then no pregnancy, ladies. Can't get pregnant by your hand.
No, this is true. And as long as it's mutual, you don't show up for a date and they're doing it and it wasn't a mutual, you didn't show up for that reason, right? But yes, mutual, together, just not exchanging things, no risk of anything, right?
Yes.
Except for pleasure, stress reduction, better sleep, and all those physical things such as vaginal infections and all
improved
kinds of
erections, decreased prostate cancer possibly.
Decreased urinary incontinence potentially with the Kegel exercises.
That's it.
Yeah, all
reduce
kinds.
Stress. It can help with alleviating pain and helping with menstrual cramps.
It's true. Yeah, because, there's like a whole little pathway with prostaglandins and, it relaxes your uterus. So if you're going to do that, it might help with cramps. So, there are so many benefits to it. Are there any cons? So, don't people go blind if they masturbate too much?
So that was the other thing when we were going through some of the silly things that we saw associated with masturbation and blindness was on everything that blindness associated with masturbation. I'm I'd never even heard that before. Yeah. If anyone out there has ever heard that is a myth. You are not going to be blind by masturbating. I'd never heard that before. It was crazy.
Does it make you go crazy?
It does not make you go crazy. No. You do not have any mental health issues. You
don't have any sexual dysfunction. Can you actually have sex with a partner and no issues? No.
You are not. There's no sexual perversions related to masturbation at all.
Yeah.
There's no issues with infertility. That was another one that came up often was, does masturbation lead to infertility? No, it does not.
And we did a previous podcast on pornography and sexual function. And again, so if pornography is you're using a visual stimuli, and then sometimes that in-person touch becomes a little bit harder. But if you're just exploring, masturbating, having orgasms, and that's going to lead to improved sexual function and not decreased. And there's no cons. Everything's a myth. And this is, again, recommended highly by our staff and our team here at Revitalize MD. Explore your body, enjoy that, time alone or time with a partner to explore just so that you guys can learn, what everybody's preferences are, what they don't like, where they don't like to be touched, all of that. And it leads to better sex. And we all want better sex here.
Exactly. And even just do it for your own. Yeah. Your own self, your own self-love, your own self-pleasure, some me time, right? I was listening to this one podcast that there was a woman that was a sex therapist that was talking, and she's like, oh, yeah, I have masturbation dates. And she plans a day and she has a whole ritual where she will take a bath, and she's like, I read certain books, and she's like, and I get myself all in the mood. She's like, and I prep for it, and it's for me. It's a day for me. And I was like, I'd never heard of anyone doing something like that. But
that's perfect.
To plan it out. But
a masturbation date.
And she had she planned masturbation dates for herself.
Masturbation date.
But hey, whatever you got to do for your own self-love. I know. I mean, if you got a life that's busy and you got to schedule it in, schedule that in.
Schedule it in. Whatever works for you.
That's it.
So hopefully this helps. Again, I think that the more we talk openly, we're very open in the office about talking in general about, orgasms and stronger orgasms and erections and masturbation. And we do have, for our women, a device that we recommend as a home device. Absolutely. That is, again, provider directed for regeneration. And so it is a vibratory device. Yep. It's a dildo that we want you to use at home in addition to the treatments. Yeah.
Yep. for the clitoris to increase blood flow. And that can be done by yourself, right? Solo masturbation, or it can be with mutual, with a partner. And we want everyone to have all the orgasms in this office.
And so if ever you think you have trouble having those conversations with your significant other, then just bring it up because it has been prescribed to you. That's a good opening conversation for you.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully that helps. And again, I think we have our cup out right here, if you can even see it. Stronger orgasms, please. Oh, yes. So that's like, we highly recommend stronger orgasms. So if there's anything else you want to talk about, nothing's taboo here. We'll talk about whatever you want to. So if there's anything, we're going to do a future podcast on kind of kinks and kink shaming, because we think that's another common thing that happens that does definitely shut down, a partner's, arousal. If there's something that arouses them and you close that down, you're just staying open to things and not kink shaming.
And that is such like an umbrella term too. There are so many components to that. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. There are all kinds of kinks.
All kinds.
But definitely on kink shaming. We don't want anyone to be ashamed of their body. That's why we talk about everything so openly. Masturbation is a good thing. It is good for you. It has many benefits. It is good for your self-confidence, your self-esteem. Just like, if you've got some kinks you're into, go you. You got to be able to talk about it.
all pros, no cons with the masturbation. So let us know.
It's all consenting. That's what's important, is we're all adults, all consenting. Yeah. And it should be a safe and healthy way to express yourself sexually.
Absolutely. So if there's anything else that you want us to talk about, please let us know. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with friends, and comment, and with clean comments,
Or not so clean, right?
Well, not so clean, but, something that, can be discussed openly. Like we get some...
that have no place.
Yeah. But anyhow, so we look forward to reading your comments and hearing feedback. And if there's anything else you want us to talk about, please let us know. Yep. We're here to revitalize your look, your health, and your sex life. Thank you.
Thank you.